We have borne witness to your power and your might. Amen. All our warriors in the house, can I hear you? All our Aztec warriors.
Connecticut is going to the Elite Eight.
What's going on, Mike? Wish you were here, brother. Man, sharing our pain. Losing that game. It's all good. Live to fight another day.
Aztec Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. It was a Thursday when the Aztec season came to an end. The third time was not the charm as the Aztecs fell in the Sweet-16 round to UConn, 82-52, and thus it brings us to this episode. We want to thank you all for joining us, taking the time out of your, well, not so victorious Monday, but we hope you had a great weekend. I know that I did. And, well, we live to fight another day, as we said in that opening video. Hope you guys didn't mind our little alma mater countdown video. Mike said it was a little depressing. You know, when the season comes to an end, it could get a little depressing, but, you know, we had to liven things up and give you a glimpse of our watch party there at AleSmith. Want to thank everybody who joined us. We had a great time considering considering the day's festivities, and we appreciate you once again for joining the live stream. You can find me at Mateo San Diego on Twitter. Of course, Sons of Monty at Sons of Monty on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I got you guys in the wrong areas over here. I got to switch you guys up. There we go. You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. He is one and only SD Sports Fiend. Good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too, man. I had a good time at that watch party. It's always tough, you know, when the season ends, because it always ends with a loss, and you know the season's over. And we had so many great memories to look back on this season. It's tough to move on from it, but sure enjoyed all the times we had together, and you know, with our friends, family, crew with Sons of Montezuma. It's just been an amazing season.
I'm already seeing some amens to Reverend Fiend going on with the repeat prayer. He went from East County to East Tahoe.
Michael toured a lot.
I like the hat, the hoodie connection. Mr. Mike, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? Happy belated Easter. Hope you guys had fun with family and friends and stuff like that. And hey, man, what a ride this year. You know, what a ride. I Sweet-16, 7-2 in the last two tournaments. I mean, you can be bummed, but you can't be upset about that run. I mean, that is the best 2-year run in San Diego State men's basketball history.
Okay, well, where do we begin? You said a mouthful right there. The best 2-year run in Aztecs basketball history. Before we get into that big picture, we do got to talk about the game. It took us a while to kind of get to this point. I'm glad we waited after Easter, after, you know, all the weekend to kind of like process the way the season ended. And you know, it's easy to get emotional and want to spout your reactions right after the game. I'm sure some of the trolls were waiting for us to get online. The UConn Husky fan base was definitely activating our notifications in our previous videos, which is all good. To the victor go the spoils, right, Fiend?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, UConn earned this victory. They were clearly the better team in this game, and I think they validated it against Illinois. You know, when we lost by 30, it really hurt our pride, right? I felt like it like sort of wounded our pride losing by 30. But then you watch a team like Illinois go down by almost the same spread, a team that won the big or the Big Ten tournament. Doesn't feel so bad.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. I mean, we'll get into the UConn game because we were all there watching it together, and to lose by 30, like I said in the opening thing, guys, the third time was not the charm. Mike, did you think this UConn team, after seeing the game, I don't know if you went back and rewatched it or anything like that. I know I did because I'm a glutton for punishment like that. But did you think this UConn team is better this year as opposed to last year?
Yes.
Do you think we are better this year or last year opposed to this year, right? It's kind of like both things hitting, or what are your takes on that?
I think they're better this year. They're more a complete team, even though they were dominant last year. I think they're a more complete team that can beat you in different ways by UConn. I don't think we were as good as last year. Obviously, we didn't get to the Final Four, you know what I mean? But like, I just don't think we had the height. We got out rebounded 51-29. I mean, there was a couple stretches there where they had like 3 or 4 offensive rebounds, not once, not twice, but like 3 different possessions. It doesn't matter who you play; you're not going to play that, especially if you play the number 1 overall seed. I mean, we knew they were the best team, you know, and then they went into half on a couple like 4-5-0 run or whatever it was as we got it close. And I said, man, if we don't come out with a run in the first 3-4 minutes of the second half, we're going to get toasted here. And that's exactly what happened. So I think mostly every game we lost this year, we were out-rebounded. And we got out-rebounded substantially this time. But they're a good team, man. I mean, hopefully they play well and they win it all, and we'll keep our streak alive of only losing to the national champions when we get to the Sweet-16, But I'll be curious to see how they it's going to be an interesting Final Four, but hey, man, I think we went as far as I think we could have went, quite frankly. That's not a knock on the guys. I mean, they got everything out of what they could to get to where they did in Sweet 16. And I mean, they just met a monster that I don't think anybody's going to overcome.
When you think about it too, that run that we had last year, a lot of it was matchups, favorable matchups, right? We overcome a great Alabama team, but they were young. And they shot horribly against us. We had a great defensive team. And like you said, we were bigger, stronger. We had more experience. We were just a better team, I think, defensively. I was watching today the anniversary of the Lamont Butler shot and looking at, the 5 guys that we had on the floor there at the end. I mean, my God, what a defensive juggernaut that was. I don't think we had that this year. For the Aztecs. And so, but if you look at, like, had we been in the West region last year as the 5th seed instead of St. Mary's, we would have probably gotten knocked out in the Sweet 16. And so it would have been just another Sweet 16 run, right? Had we been in the West region this year, maybe playing against Alabama and some of those other teams, maybe we could have gotten to the Final Four. I mean, I watched several of these games. And I thought the only teams that we probably couldn't beat were Purdue and Connecticut. So it really depends on matchups too. You can have a great team, but you go up against like an all-time great team, you can get knocked out earlier in the tournament than you'd like to.
Yeah. The thing I was thinking about too is when those initial rankings of the top 16 came out, whenever it was, remember we were the third 4 seed or the second 4 seed. The committee, I think, still looks at that. I think I was talking to a few people here. I'm like, dude, our strength of schedule is like 3 in the country. Everybody's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been a 5. You were this and that. I said, dude, our out of conference was great. We were like one of the strongest strength of schedules in the country. Yeah, we went to the Natty last year. But I think our reward from the committee was to put us in Spokane, even though it was the East, to get 2 games on the West Coast before they shipped us back East. I think that was the committee's wink and a nod to us to say, hey, we know how good you are, but we're going to give you the East, but we're going to start you in the West. Because we all know about the committee and they love all that stuff, theatrics and things like that. So I don't believe we've ever lost in that arena. If memory serves, at least in the tournament. So, hey man, it was a good run, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's all matchups. It's all what thing you're in. But sometimes you run into a team like this that is. I mean, man, they beat us by 30. Everybody's like, "Oh, you got beat by 30." Yeah, dude, they're the best team in the country, and they had a great night, and we had an off night. And then they beat them they go on a 30-0 run against Illinois. That's wild, bro. In the tourney, in Elite Eight, that's unheard of. I mean, that just shows you how good this team is.
Big Ten tournament champions.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, how proud. I mean, this might be my favorite San Diego State basketball team. All the adversity they went through, all of the grit that these guys had to go through and what they went through after losing all they had from last year, and they came back and they still balled out and went to the Sweet 16. But hey, it's always a fun year, man. We're always there. You know what I mean? We're always there. So it was a fun year, man. We met a lot of people and had a lot of fun. So they'll never be able to take that from us.
I think Mike likes to accuse us of stealing a lot of his takes when we're off air. And I'm going to steal one of your takes, Mike. I'm going to steal one of yours. Maybe the first time. Usually when we end an episode, it's like you sum things up, like just enjoy watching the games with your family. You never know what's going to happen, that type of a positive spin and outlook. And it's so true, man. I gotta piggyback off that. I mean, this was a devastating loss. Let's not sugarcoat it, guys. Like, you lose by 30 in the Sweet 16 round to a team that we are really quickly beginning to be tired of UConn, man. They're so dominant, and you can't hate on them. I appreciate the level of ball that they play. I really do. I appreciate where they've come from in their program legacy up till now. But taking the week to kind of, like I said, just decompress, obviously realize the big picture of things, and spend some time with family and all that good stuff. You realize, yes, this team, this Aztecs 2023-24 team was a special team. To go back to back, all those things that you've touched on, man. I mean, it's so true, and you got to be appreciative of it. You cannot get to the top of the mountain, as they say. We've been at the top of the mountain, Mountain West, but nationally we haven't been there. We've had our chance. I mean, looking back at all those photos and videos, like you said, Fiend, today is Lamont Butler Day, officially Lamont Butler Day. We are reclassifying it. And so being able to look at everything, it just really puts things into perspective. When they say team on 3, family on 6, I mean, just how appreciative we were of these guys, this particular team, and where the program has been. But guys, let's talk some ball. Because when I rewatch this game, I rewatch the tape, and thank you guys. We'll get to your comments and all your questions in the chat. I see all you guys. Thank you, Angelica, for the super. Our supers are open. But guys, when I look at the tape, it's obvious UConn, they're a better team. Like Fiend says, you guys just take your hat off. They're the better team. They're the bigger team. They're the more physical team. They're the more skilled team, right? They could shoot lights out. So we knew the challenge was great coming into it. But I think what makes this UConn team so special, and I don't want to make this all about UConn, but they are still playing in the tournament right now. They are the heavy favorites. So when you match up, the great thing about playing a number 1 seed like a UConn defending champion is that you get to measure your program against the very best. And when you look at things, when everything is kind of shaken out, they don't just rely on their physicality, guys. They don't just simply rely on, their height, their size, their athletic ability, or even their skill, right? Because a lot of players are individually skilled. You could shoot the rock. We saw Caitlin Clark. How many threes did she hit tonight? Like, unbelievable, right? Props out to her. But the skill can only take you so far. Your athletic ability can only take you so far. That team is hitting on all cylinders. And there's something, Mike, you said it, all the rebounds, right? I mean, you can't beat a team if you don't rebound. One of the things I saw in Fiend, I kind of want you to talk about this a little bit. One of the things I saw when I really looked at the tape and really look at UConn and how they played against us, the physicality on both ends of the court, but in their offense in particular, all the sets we talked ad nauseum about, all the sets that they run. One of the things that I really appreciate that they do, the physicality in their picks and in their screens, they are touching you every single possession. If you're chasing a guy around the court and he's running his play, they're gonna make sure they get a body on you when they set a screen or when they set a pick. They're gonna bump you. They're gonna give you some type of touch that lets you know I'm there, and you gotta beat it. You gotta go around it. You gotta get through it some way or another. And that's how they get their open shots through their plays. It's incredible the precision and discipline that they have, knowing that every single play they're gonna touch you, they're gonna bump you and get you off the route, chasing their guy who gets wide open, and they get these easy passes. Fiend, what was the biggest takeaway watching UConn and kind of measuring ourselves up when it comes to that matchup?
Well, I think despite all that physicality and having to chase him around the court, which is what they make you do in their offensive sets, I thought we actually played pretty good defense on them.
Yeah.
The problem was we stopped playing defense when the ball went up in the air, and they went and got the offensive rebounds. We did not secure the offensive rebounds, and when you're giving up second chance, third chance, fourth chance points, I don't care how good of a defensive team you are. You're allowing that other team their effective field goal percentage to skyrocket every possession that you give them. So that to me was the bigger issue. Was we would play great defense. And look, we had a lead. We're the only team that was leading UConn in the tournament. Right, we were playing pretty good early on, I thought, and
Yeah.
Jaden Ledee was carrying us. He was hitting shots. Trammell was hitting shots. Defense was good. There was a stretch there where UConn went pretty cold. Um, and they, overall in the tournament, they are not shooting the ball really well, but they're just like you said, being real physical. They're getting rebounds, and this is a recurring problem for us, like Mike touched on. You know, down the stretch versus New Mexico, down the stretch versus Nevada, in multiple games that we've had where that we've lost the game because of the lack of physicality on the boards, and that was a huge issue for us all year, and it really reared its ugly head there in the second half, and then to compound it, like our star player just went cold, and we couldn't hit shots. So that to me, it was the difference in the game. I think if we had rebounded better like last year, we would have been in it with 10 minutes to go like we were last year. But we didn't have the personnel this year to be able to do that.
And guys, we're gonna break down the roster in the second half of the show, kind of look at who's coming back, who's leaving, all that good stuff. And Fiend brings up a great point. You look at last year's national championship runner-up team. I mean, we lost a lot of experience there, a lot of muscle, a lot of size, everything that you're counting off there. That what was the name of our game last year against FAU, right? Getting those boards, the physicality, the maturity, all those things came into play. This year, a little bit of a different story, but a Sweet 16 team nonetheless. So, hey, I may sound like I'm being critical on all those different things, the precision, the discipline, all that good stuff, but I completely agree with you, Fiend. We were right there in the beginning. You saw glimpses that we can hang. And then, boy, who was it that hit that three right before halftime? We were down by 6, stretched out to 9 going into the half, and then the second half, the floodgates opened up. Mike, do you think with a different bracket, I know you kind of alluded to it a little bit, East bracket was tough, man, and we're playing in Boston in front of a home crowd pretty much. It didn't matter if we were playing UConn, man. It was a tough bracket, man. It was a really
Probably
tough
the
bracket.
toughest bracket, I think.
Yep.
I mean, I don't care, dude. I'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. It don't matter to me. I've never rewatched the game except for that 1-3-1 New Mexico game. That's the only game I've ever rewatched, because it's just such a class. It's the best. But I mean, you're in the bracket. You're in the bracket. Like I said, you get Spokane, but even though you're in the East, so it's kind of a little trinket to us. But I said it on the last pod. You got to stop Cam Spencer, and we couldn't stop him. I mean, he was obviously now I know why Fee coveted him so much coming to state, when he went to UConn or wherever he went before that. But I mean, he played really well, 6 of 12, 26 points. So it just wasn't our night, man. And it was their night. We had to have a perfect special game like everybody, but they've gone on runs and been close to people in the last, the tournament, and then bang, they're out. I think we're the only team to lead more than like a minute in the last 2 NCAA tournaments against UConn. Was the NCAA final last year for like 4.5 minutes. Other than that, it's like 25 seconds, 12 seconds. I think we were the first time we had that was the first time they were behind in the tournament when we were up 2-0. So, hey man, let's talk about something else, dude. I don't want to talk about you.
Hey, it's the reality of the
props
situation.
To them. Yeah, props to them. Good luck to them. But let's talk about our guys.
Well, thank you, T-Mac, for your super. Thanks for the season coverage and support. Hopefully, Aztec faithful will show NIL love. There was a big article came out in the UT. I believe Ziegler wrote it, giving kind of an update on the NIL scenario. I think that's a good topic, Mike. We can kind of transition to a little bit. Again, thank you, T-Mac, man. I appreciate you hanging all season long, man, especially towards the end here. But yeah, NIL, guys, it is it's a big factor going into the off season. It's going to be the biggest one, as we saw, trying to get new additions into this roster to make another big run next year. We're going to get into all the roster moves, like we said, but NIL, of course, we've had Jeff Smith on from the Mesa Foundation, the president there at the Mesa Foundation. They're doing great work. Cannot underline that enough. For the basketball programs, both men and women's, your guys' subscriptions with them, they go a long ways. And I know I'm a member. We've had the chance to do some really cool things as being a part of that membership. So definitely want to give your support to the Mesa Foundation. And of course, our NIL products, our merch, all that good stuff for the guys that we sign. Can't disregard that for sure. Being the number one original NIL creators in the shop. So thank you, T-Mac. Thank you, T-Mac. Guys, when you think of this season, how do you measure this season? Now that the season is over, not just this one game, not just the tournament run, but Fiend, how do you measure this season, man? I mean, was it a great season? Was it a really good season? A good season? How do you measure this thing?
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, he's muted.
This is the best. This is best take ever. This is probably best.
Sorry, guys. I didn't.
No. We heard it. It was a great take.
Phenomenal.
So I have to say it's somewhere in between a really good season and a great season. It wasn't a dream season like last year where we won Mountain West Conference titles, 2 of them, and then went to the national championship game. But getting to a Sweet-16, I think it is a great season or a really good season. And we would have liked to have had the conference championships, some extra banners to hang, some rings, but to me, it's a great season. Anytime you get to a Sweet 16, I mean, what's the 4th time ever in our program history? 4th time, yeah. So, I mean, come on, you got to give them love for that.
Mike, how are you walking away from this year? This
Loved
Sweet
it.
16
Great.
year?
Frustrating, happy, sad, fun. I mean, it kind of had all the emotions. I think for me, I don't know. Like last year was like most of the emotions were up. This year it was kind of up. It was down. It was like, oh, are we ever gonna win another basketball game? And then we blow a team out, and then we lose by. So, but just like Dutch said, man, I just love he should be a motivational speaker after he retires from basketball, because just it's the journey. And I've said, like, there's a certain point in my life. I'll be 45 on Friday, 4/5. So when you get to a certain age, if the worst thing you do is lose a basketball game, you're going to have a pretty good life. And that just summed up, like that clicked for me about 10 years ago. It's like, I get everybody's got, so like when I see these fans, like, just like, oh, I can't believe you guys lost. We should have missed. Dude, it's a basketball game, bro. Like, go away, do something else. Right. So it's just a ball game, but you get, to me, we got to hang out multiple times up here in San Diego, in Albuquerque. We got to hang out in Vegas. Andy, we got to hang out with Andy. I met K5 James. I had never met him before, and we hung out and talked, and it was fun, man. And then all the guys, it's just, like you get to a certain age, as our parents get older, how many more of these are you going to have? I mean, knock on wood, hopefully that's for a long time, but you get to your parents' age, 75, 80, you look at stuff and you're like, man, how many more of these moments are we going to have with your dad or your mom or all this stuff? You know what I mean? So I look at it like that, and I get emotional more so now than I did before, but now that I have a little girl, it's easy. By the way, Wonka is a pretty good movie. You should see that. Watch it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's where Zach Eady and that girl were going into the dorm room. They're going to go watch Wonka. Maybe that's what they're doing. But man, it's just fun, man.
Man.
You guys got to meet Cody, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Cody. 40-year-old man looks great for 55, So, but yeah, man, it was just, you remember the games, but you remember the moments, you remember, getting to see the Butlers multiple times and P. Scott and just hanging out with them. You know what I mean? I remember just talking at the airport with them in Albuquerque and just talking ball. It was great, man. I was listening to Fiend and him talk, and I was just like soaking it all in. So, every year is only one team's happy at the end of the year. And only one team. So you have to appreciate how going to Sweet 16s doesn't happen to a lot of teams. I mean, Alabama's going to the Final Four for the first time ever. You get teams that are going to elite. Creighton's never been to a Final Four. So we're pretty lucky.
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, we could have choked like Nevada against Dayton. I mean, that would have really been difficult to swallow, right? So getting to a Sweet 16 is just amazing. Getting a couple of wins in the tournament, getting to hang out with you guys for 3 games in Vegas. It's like you said, it's all about the journey, right? And the journey is the most important thing. And man, I've had just an amazing time with Aztecs basketball, the community, Sons of Monty community, this season. And man, I just want to do it again. Go on another run,
bro. Like think about it. I never met John Schaefer. I never met Jeff Smith. I never met Skylar. We're lucky because we started this. Matt started this. He's the El Presidente. So, but like to do it and get to meet all these guys and talk to them and interact with people and hang out. And I saw you guys having fun at Ale Smith with everybody and things. I think that's what's life about. It's the relationships you get and you have, a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and these are lifetime relationships because of Aztec basketball.
You guys this is very touching. This is very touching stuff, guys. Are really
philosophizer.
This whole thing though, with like getting to the Sweet 16 and getting balanced. I mean, it just really reinforces how difficult it is to make a Final Four. And why we made that decision last year to take that all-nighter trip to Vegas on our way out to Houston, anyway, to get there any way we could, so that we could watch the Final Four. I have a friend who's a big Purdue fan. She went to school there. Her whole family has been to Purdue, and I was talking to her, and she was like, I don't know if I want to go out there. It's going to be expensive. And I just shared my experience, and I said, look, if Purdue makes the Final Four, you got to go. Like planes, trains, or automobiles, you have to make that trip. And I kind of talked her into it, and so now she's going. She's excited, and it's a trip of a lifetime. I don't know if she'll have the same experience that we had, with a buzzer beater, but if they win the Natty and they beat UConn, I mean that's a heck of a trip. And so that's
I'm looking forward to that game, dude. Purdue and North Carolina State. That's gonna be a fun game. I want to see that matchup right there. DJ and Edie. Heck yeah. She better go.
She's definitely going. So it's I'm glad we made that trip, and who knows if hopefully we'll get back there. But it's just so hard. It is so hard. There's so many good teams in the tournament, and it's hard to be one of the last 4 standing.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I just saw that movie the other day, dude. Classic. John Candy, R.I.P. John Candy.
Great Thanksgiving movie.
Dude, I know, right? Well, I don't know why I was watching it in March, but
it comes on. There's certain movies that just come on and you're like, yeah, I'm in, dude. Pirates of the Caribbean, Transformers, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's movies they're on. You're like, oh, okay, cool.
That was me and Fiend going to Texas for the Final Four, dude. I was John Candy, man. I was super annoying, burning cars, snoring.
Yeah, at least I didn't
All
have to
that.
sleep in the same bed with you. So
Oh man. All right, everybody. I see the chat working. Let's get to some of these comments in here. I see a lot of Mr. Neely. What's going on in here in the chat, man? I thought Nevada had some news coming out here. I like what Mr. Napolitano said. The Mountain West refs made it to where 6 teams got into the big dance tournament. I kind of agree with that. Bill, thank you. It was a really good season with the Aztecs playing their best basketball in the Mountain West Conference tourney and big dance. Props to the players and coaches. 2 Sweet-16s is awesome. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Couldn't agree more. We're the only Mountain West team to make it to the Sweet-16, as Sergio said earlier in the chat. So, I mean, that's a banner. That's a banner that is going up. And we're definitely going to be celebrating that one. It goes a long ways. It has. Oh, Emmett, have we looked into the transfer portal at all? Who should SDSU target and what level of players are attainable? We are efforting right now to have a special guest come on to where we can talk about some of these portal situation targets that we're looking at. But guys, let's talk about the team moving forward now, right? Because I think we're so quick to close the door after a loss, right? You want to move forward. We're going to be able to celebrate this team for a long time, and that banner is going to allow us to celebrate it forever. I know the banquet's going to be coming up, so we might have to look into that, Fiend, if that's an option. Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yeah.
But let's look at the team moving forward, guys, because I mean, we want to do this again. We want to do this again. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Okay, so Fiend put together a little something here that we want to look at and just kind of look at the roster breakdown if we can. As we look at who do we have here? Explain what I'm looking at here, Fiend, because you put this together. I see players leaving.
Yeah. So sorry,
in.
the font's a little small here, but obviously the players who are leaving, who are out of eligibility, are Jaden Ledee, Darian Trammell, and Jay Powell. We want to thank them for their time as an Aztec and leaving as Aztec legends. National title appearance for Ledee and Trammell, Sweet-16 for Powell. Amazing accomplishments. So congrats to them, and wish them the best in their future careers. The players coming in that we signed, freshmen, we have Farrell Compton, Taj DeGorville, and David Majak. I think Compton and DeGorville are kind of the two headliners of that class. Majak, I think, is more of a guy that we're going to kind of develop in the system, but he's going to be, I think, a great shot blocker down the road. And then we've got like 4 scenarios here I put together. First scenario is like if Butler and Parrish both leave, which I think there's a good chance that they could both leave, whether that's, to go pro or to, cash in on NIL opportunities or different roles with, other teams. So if that were to happen, we would need 2 transfers, a starter point guard, and I think a starter small forward. And then if Waters comes back, Saunders and Heidi would probably round out that starting lineup. How do you guys feel about Heidi as the starter next year, stepping into Jaden Ledee's role?
I mean, I think if he is put at a starting position, I don't think you necessarily put him at Jaden Ledee's role per se, right? I think if he's a starter, he's a starter. But and I know what you mean. I don't think you're saying the offense is going to run through him per se, but I mean he will be the big man, right, with the experience in the offense, all that good stuff. I mean, if that is the move that is made, don't think I would have a problem with it. It's kind of how would you say, if that's the necessary move, because that's the most experienced big man that we have. I think that then it is what it is. It's not like preferred. I think obviously, right? You always would like to get a big man, experienced big man that we've had in the past. But if that's the case, I mean, what could you do?
Yeah, I debated whether I'd consider him a starter for next year or still in the rotation, and they bring
Mhm.
in a big guy that they find in the transfer portal. They do have Majak, but I don't think he's going to get significant playing time next year. And then Magoon, I think he's going to be really interesting. He's just his height, but he's still so skinny. So I don't know if he can play that center position. He's more of a stretch four or stretch three.
Yeah.
And he's got great length, but still he's so skinny. So they may get a big guy in the portal to kind of beef up what we didn't have this year, which is the strength inside and rebounding. I
Yeah,
think
I hear a lot of that. I hear a lot of that. I mean to cut you off, but I hear a lot of that, like people bouncing back saying, "Oh, hey, we're gonna have like 3 7-footers next year, right? We're gonna be loaded as a big man spot." But none of these guys are necessarily, you know what I mean, the biggest 7 footers. They're not necessarily like the most rim protected minded guys, like what you're saying with
I think Heidi is good defense. Like defensively, he'll be fine. I'm just wondering about like his offensive skills. I mean, he's great rebounder, offensive rebounder. But we'll see if they bring in a big guy. I think Compton could actually play some like power forward. He's 6'6", but he's a pretty big guy, and I think he's going to be the one that contributes the most of the freshmen that come in. And then Bird, I think he's probably your six man. And unless he beats out the transfer small forward, he could slide into that spot. And then point guard, BJ Davis or a transfer. I don't know. How are we feeling about BJ Davis moving into the rotation next year at point guard?
I mean rotation maybe, but you definitely have to bring in, you know, a point guard, a proven point guard, I would say. I want to look at this. Art Vandelay, Butler and Parrish are both transferring. Must reload. Thank you, Art, for that super. And I think that kind of highlights that question, right? Because if Butler is moving on, however method that is, um, I feel good. Like what Kevin here is saying, good point, right on time. BJ is going to be awesome, but they need a second point guard, absolutely, because you're going from somebody who as in Butler and in Trammell, that are proven, experienced guys. I mean, you got to go out there and get somebody that's proven with experience. I mean, at that key
Could Bird play
leadership
the
spot.
point?
I wouldn't be against having Bird play the point. He's got the huge size, right, and can handle the ball, bring the ball up. I think that's a pretty good fit. I like having kind of smaller guys like a Trammell, having that option, which BJ I think would cover that. Man, that's an interesting thought though. Bird running the point full time.
It's possible. I don't know. I mean, I think with Bird, uh, his defense is awesome. The offense, he started to shoot the ball better towards the end of the year. He's still got to work on some of the decision making, and not not turning the ball over. And he also needs to put on some more size. I think if he puts on some more size, he can get to the hoop and absorb contact. If he works on some of his finishing moves, I think that's going to go a long way to helping him with his offensive game. Because you saw in transition, I think it was in the UAB game, was it, that he smoked a couple layups in transition, or he lost the ball, and I don't know if that was just jitters in the tournament or what, but I think if he works on some of his finishing moves, he's going to be really good at being able to get to the rim just because of his size. And then you look at like the bench, DeGorville is a question mark. I don't know. I don't know how much he's going to contribute. Again, I don't know how much Compton is going to contribute next year either as freshmen. Now, what happens with DeMarshe Johnson and Kate Alger? DeMarshe Johnson, it's been rumored, that he might transfer down a level or to a smaller school so that he can get playing time. Kate Alger's got another year of eligibility left with the COVID year, I believe, so he could come back. He has a scholarship. It depends. If those guys don't come back. So with all these scenarios, there's only one scholarship left. And I think they would hold on to that for mid-season just in case something happens, there's injury or whatever, then they can use it. But there's a lot of question marks as far as, because we don't know who's staying and who's going. Once we have that picture, it's then we'll have a better understanding of like maybe how this starter and rotation bench is going to work.
I like what T-Mac just chimed in as far as DeMarshe. Now, you didn't factor him into playing that center role, Fiend, taking that LeD role. I mean, do you feel pretty confident in your outlook when it comes to DeMarshe?
I still think he struggled when he was in, for spells in games that he played. I don't know. I think at this point, if he's been in the program like 3 years, it might be in his best interest to transfer out to another program that he can get, more playing time and, develop his skills through actually playing. I mean, so, and then, that would free up a scholarship that we could use. So no, I if I'm doing an honest assessment, probably not. I think Magoon beats him out.
Yeah. T-Mac, I agree. I don't think DeMarshe ever really looked comfortable. It's a fair assessment, fair critique, I think. And is it for sure that Parrish and Butler are transferring? That is a question from Eden Art Garden Amusement Museum. Yes.
We don't know.
I don't know if it's for sure. Nobody knows.
No, I read the article that just came out in the Union Tribune with about Butler. And they make the decision what's best. He's going to graduate. If he were to go, which obviously selfish, I'd like him to stay. He couldn't give any more to this program.
Right.
He's been awesome. What he's gone through, what he's accomplished, arguably the biggest sports moment in San Diego sports history. If he stays, I'll be excited. But if he leaves, hey man, we were don't be sad because it's over, be happy because it happened, kind of thing. So these guys are all going to go on at some point, and Micah leaves. I mean, that'd be bummed too, but these are our guys, man. These are our guys.
Yeah, I think if Butler leaves, like Bird is going to have to be that lockdown defender. He's probably the best defender that we have on the team, I think, just from what I saw this past year. So I think he would have to kind of take over that role of locking down the other team's like best perimeter player, unless we get another defensive, guard in the transfer portal, which is a possibility. So, I mean, yeah, if he decided to leave, just like Kashad Johnson decided to leave, I would, still be happy for him and wish him well. And obviously, if we played him, we'd want to beat him. But he's given everything to this program, and he's an Aztec for life. Both him and Parrish, I should say.
Very well. Well, guys, if you have not heard, we have a pretty nice, sweet little deal here coming up, courtesy of Sons of Montezuma. And well, Mike, what do you got to say about this thing, man? How are you doing with our Manscaped products?
We love it. At the Sons of Montezuma, we love basketball just as much as we love our balls. So when it's time to get ready for the big game, we use a Lawnmower 5.0 to trim out the extras to prepare for the big night. When you're driving to the hoop and the lane opens up to score, just know all the work you have put in with the Lawnmower 5.0. The crop preserver will preserve your shave, much like when the team pulls out a hard-earned victory. Never compromise the little things in life that can lead you to the big things. The Sons of Montezuma and Manscaped are here for you and your balls, not just during basketball season. your balls will thank you. No one knows your balls like you do. Manscaped. Weird
Like
transition, but North Carolina State and UConn both have the men's and women's teams in the Final Four. That's kind of a cool. Can you imagine going to those schools and having both your teams in the Final Four? I don't know if that's happened many times if ever. So that's a cool kind
Probably
of a strange,
UConn.
yeah, kind of a strange transition, but you know.
Well, I will say I used the lawnmower just this past weekend for the first time. That thing is pretty smooth. It's pretty awesome. Manscaped, guys, you guys can see the code down below, 20% off plus free shipping on your Manscaped order with our promo code SONS, SONS. Can't leave that out, guys. Make sure you guys are supporting some great products. Like I said, that thing is amazing. It actually is. It's waterproof too, man. So throw that tidbit in there. And yeah, have you guys had you guys obviously have had these products? I know Fiend has Manscaped products already.
Yeah, no, I think they're a quality product, and I haven't gotten down to business with the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0, but I look forward to it.
Getting down to business.
Summer is coming up.
Let's get down. Let's get down to business.
Okay, guys, we're gonna move on to the next part of the show. We are very happy to bring in a good friend of ours, good friend of the show. He's been doing Aztec research, especially when it comes to recruiting and all that good stuff for many years now. You guys know him. He had he goes by Aztecs Hoops Nation on Twitter. It is our good friend. Welcome in, Michael Maciejewski. What's going on, Mike? It's good to see you again, man. It's been too long.
It's been too long. Glad to be back. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Good to see you, Mike.
What's up, Mike?
How's it going?
Well, the season's over, man. It's always tough when it comes to an end, right? It's immediate. No more travel plans, no more fun watch parties, no more looking at the on your phone to see when the next game is, all that good stuff. But this is the time where you probably love, right? You just get to dig in and scoping out who's next on the scene. I know everybody in the chat is real excited to the possibilities of, okay, who's out there, who in the portal, NIL. I see people saying we should be able to afford some of these guys that are out there this year. And Mesa Foundation put some good reports out there that they have pretty much tripled their NIL earnings since year one. So, I mean, that's got to be just a great thing to hear for us Aztec Nation faithful. How are you feeling after this season now and kind of getting the climate and seeing the names that are out there? How are you feeling, man?
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I've had a little bit of time to sit there and look and just kind of see what's going on. And there's been a lot of interesting names in the portal, interesting names not in the portal yet. So there's some movement going on. Most of the stuff, and I've talked to Fiend about it, is a little bit behind the scenes. So just exciting to see what pops up. And I was listening to you guys talk about how many scholarships we have left. That's going to be key. It's going to be key to the next moves for the Aztecs.
I know you're not going to get crazy into maybe some of the behind the scenes stuff, or maybe you will. I don't know. I'll let you decide on that. But when it comes to like those scholarships, like what you're saying, the amount, I mean, realistically, what are we looking at, do you think, as far as like a timeline? You think when we'll know? I mean, I don't know if you would even know that, but the timeline of movement of all this kind of stuff, I mean, you still got the Final Four going on, and people are declaring. They're coming out. They're transferring. All this good stuff. I wish there was a set time where they would say, "Okay, the floodgates are open now. Everybody go at it." But it's just it's so all over the place. A little chaotic.
I mean, definitely the coaching staff has to have their meetings with the players, kind of talk about their future, where they fit in the plans. I'm not sure if those have happened yet. To be honest with you, I haven't heard that they have. I know some of the players are taking some time to unwind, so that may be part of the coaching staff's options to let them, give them a week or so to unwind, do what they need to do, and then, have those meetings. But as of right now, I haven't heard that they have happened. Again, they have or not, but when those happen, we'll get some more clarity, I'm sure.
Mike, it's spring break right now, so they're going to do them next week, it sounds like.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mike. I
Sorry, I didn't
appreciate
bother
that.
you. Yeah, so they talked about that too. So, yeah, sorry.
No, that's great. No, I appreciate you bringing that up. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, definitely. When those happen, we'll get some clarity. So it should be soon, hopefully. I don't expect them to drag it out too much longer, and then we'll start hearing if anybody's leaving.
Oh, look at this. He's Mr. Art Garden Amusement. If Butler comes back, I will buy season tickets for me and my dad next year. I mean, okay, realistically, like we said, I mean, whatever Lamont decides to do, he's done enough for San Diego State. Like he owes nobody anything, never has. But what he's given to us is, memories for a lifetime, man. If the Aztecs were to have a point guard spot, is there a direction you think that they're looking at in particular?
I feel like they think there will be a point guard spot open next year, especially losing Trammell. You can see it by who they're offering. There's a lot of names. I don't know if Fiend jumped on those names earlier, but there's a lot of names out there. It's definitely a guard spots are going to be a big focus for the staff to fill in. And so I don't know what that means for Lamont. I know Lamont truly is 50-50 on returning from what I understand. So, we'll see. We'll see if that's just because Darion leaving or is it because they expect Lamont to go? I'm not sure, but definitely guard position is going to be something that the Aztecs seem to be wanting to address this offseason.
Yeah, and if you look at like the guys who have reported that they've had contact with SDSU, a lot of them are guards. And so there's no secret that that's who we're targeting in the portal. I haven't really seen maybe one big man, but I haven't seen a whole lot of, connection to big men. It seems to be mostly guards. So whether that's to take Darian's position or potentially Lamont's position if he leaves, I think that's really what they're going after. And it seems like the guys they're going after too are 6'3", 6'4". I don't think they're going after like really smaller guards this time around.
I would think with the big men, it's probably a tricky thing because, like what we're saying, I mean, there's 3 7-footers that are going to be on the roster at some point. So, I mean, how much do you want to commit? It would have to be like a grad transfer, right? Just like a one year guy you can kind of plug in while the other guys mature. I at least that's what I would be thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, you got to try for a big man that's out there if they're an impact guy. I think you saw last year the coaching staff realized that big men, they're just expensive out there.
Yeah.
Put it flat, and I think that's why you see the switch in the recruiting for high school players. We got a lot of big men, develop, and hopefully, one of them like stands out. So I think the staff knows that. They're going to try to see if there's someone that fits there, if they can, come in and do well in our system, or just even want to be in the system, financially. But that's definitely, like I said, the focus is guards because there's way more guards. They're easier to get, and you can plug them in pretty quickly.
Yeah, and they cost less too, like
Yeah.
you said, than the big guys. So I didn't think about that for the strategy, but it makes perfect sense because we did get burned last year. It seemed like we were targeting going after big guy, and they kept going to bigger programs that were offering more NIL, and we were like on our 4th or 5th option. And so you want to, if you're targeting guys in the transfer portal, you want to be maximizing your time and going after guys that you feel like you have a realistic shot of getting.
All right, guys, I'm seeing in the chat. What do you guys have to say? JB2741. Bryce Pope, UCSD. I'm throwing his name out there. That dude can flat out shoot the ball. Steve Diego says, we need 3-point shooters brought in! Exclamation mark. I know Fiend, well, looked at our 3-point percentage very intently all season long. So what do you guys think about shooters when it comes to that kind of stuff? And in particular, Bryce Pope, UCSD.
What do you think, Mike?
Oh, well, and I mean, Bryce Hope's a great, name out there. He's garnering a lot of attention. I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen him linked to us at this time. one thing that's gonna be something that you need to think about and look at is defense. A lot of our transfers are usually like Parrish, all defensive player in his league, things like that. So I always look to guys like that, like who's going to be a defensive stalwart on this team who can play both ends, who can switch. But 100%, I agree. We're going to need some shooters. I need some scorers. And Fiend and I have talked off air, like that's going to be key. We played a different style that we haven't played before. Playing our offense through our big men is not what San Diego State usually does, and so it was different. And so going back to that, to a more comfortable offense might help, where our guards are leading scorers or maybe someone on the wing. But yeah, Pope, like I said, I haven't seen him connected to us. I've seen a list of schools that contacted him. We weren't on it. So it leads me to believe the defensive side might be it, or just maybe it's not being reported. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. With his defensive numbers, definitely when you look at from like an analytic perspective, are not as good as his offensive numbers. And do you want to bring in a guy that you're going to have to teach defense, who only has 1 year left, right? Or do you want to bring a guy that you can plug in that can play defense right away? And so he's been linked to some really big time programs. It's not like he's only being contacted by programs that are, in lower divisions than us. I mean, there's some Power 5 schools that are going after him. It's just I haven't seen any link for us to him. So that leads me to believe that we just don't have the interest, which is a shame. I mean, he's a great player. I love him as a player. I watch him in Swiss League every year, but it's just not the right fit, according to the coaches.
Okay, piggybacking on coaches, Mike, you brought up a good point when it comes to as far as the offense, not necessarily used to running their offense through a big man. Of course, with Jaden Ledee, I mean, he was Mr. All-American, Mr. Do everything for this team. He was amazing. One of the greatest years, if not the greatest year, right? But I did get the sense of that the team, especially our shooters or our wing players, they weren't necessarily maybe accustomed to playing with such a presence at that big man spot offensively. And that's just what my gut is telling me when I watch that, they obviously they couldn't, it wasn't a comfortable thing at certain points, right? Because it was just like Jaden's just eating. He's just eating. Nobody else was really eating. They couldn't really create. So, it's a head scratcher for me. I'm a novice when it comes to hoops, but why everybody else couldn't get in where they fit in necessarily and offensively explode. The defense was always on lock, and that's a wonderful thing this program hangs their hat on. But now with Chris Acker reportedly moving on, right? I mean, I don't know if that's been confirmed 100% yet, or if that was, in the final stages of happening. But all the reports say that he is moving on to Long Beach State. Where does this offense go? And how does that affect, you know what I mean? How is that going to affect their outlook towards the portal, towards transfers, and the direction that this team goes in the future? I feel like Dutcher has got this program solidified in the style he wants it to play. And I personally don't see the offense is probably going to change all that much. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on that as far as moving forward, after Chris Acker takes that job, perhaps. Fiend or Michael, you could take that, either one.
Mike, you can take that.
All right. Well, I mean, just Acker. I mean, obviously losing Chris Acker is gonna be tough. But yeah, it gives a chance for a reset on that. One big part again, we mentioned back, striking out big men in the transfer portal. Jaden Ledee was meant to play the 4 this year. So that was a big part. It just completely changed the offense, and you saw it toward the end of the year, where guys, were deferring to Jaden late in the shot clock. I think about that turnaround jumper with like 2, in the March Madness with the time running out. I mean, Reese Waters had that in his hand, and normally early in the season, I think Reese takes that shot, but it really they just kind of deferred to Jaden and played through him. So getting a coach here, I think you'll see probably an offensive coach coming in. There's no insight there, but we have the defensive positions locked in. Chris Acker was a big part of the offense with what he brought. And so I could see that happening. And, from there, that'll kind of dictate what the kind of players we bring in. But again, I feel like Coach Dutcher has his, like you said, has his way of running the offense kind of already set. It's just adding someone's personal styles into that as an assistant. Bringing new ideas. But yeah, I mean, outside of very few big men, you see in college the play runs through the guards.
I think
don't
they've
think
been
there's
through
going
that.
to be. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Mike.
bro.
Sorry.
I think they've been through that enough with coaches leaving and coaches going on. He doesn't only want to just graduate the kids. He wants to have these guys. I think his end goal is to have all of his assistants be head coaches at some point somewhere. I think that's probably one of his goals, and I think that's a great goal. So saying that, he has been used to the turnover of, JD leaves last year and then Gweck is there and he just falls into place, and then, if Acker leaves, who is going to come in, Hudson left, he came back, he came there. And then you have, I can't remember the guy who went to SC, Jay Morris. And then one of the other guys went to UCLA. So from what I see in solidarity, you have the top two guys, Dutch and Dave, and those are consistent year after year after year. And the other guys behind it kind of change. Will Gweck's will be different this year, but you have those top two. I wouldn't say the other ones aren't as important because they are, but you're heading with your two guys, and they have options now for coaches coming in because of what they've done.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to see any significant departure from sort of the philosophy that this program is built on. It's always defense first. And Dutcher's, his promise to his players is, if you play defense for me, I'm going to give you great freedom on the offensive end. So any offensive coach that comes in is going to have to accept that is how it is here at San Diego State. And so they're just going to have to kind of fit in their offensive style to the way we run things here at State. So I don't think it's going to be a big difference from how we run things now. And I'm sure they'll get a good coach. It's got to be someone who has I would think has ties to Southern California area, and who's a good recruiter, and they'll find. I have no doubt that they'll find someone to fill that position pretty easily.
Thank you, Cody. Dutcher has created a great culture for success and will be the head coach through 2028. Very important to lock him down on that new contract.
And if Acker does go on, congratulations, man. We're happy for you. We're glad we had you for a couple years, and congratulations, and we wish you the best unless we play you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, T-Mac says a rumor has it another coach might be leaving on top of Chris Acker, but yeah, we'll see. Michael, anything else you feel is important to bring into the conversation when it comes to the portal and how we move forward, man? Anything else you got for us?
I mean, yeah, just keep an eye out. I said there's a lot of things that are not being reported. A lot going on. So just, like I said, the big man's an option. The only position I don't think we're really looking at is a power forward. We have obviously Saunders coming back, and I really like Farrell Compton coming in as a freshman. I think he'll be a pretty, he's a chance to be a good contributor early. So just keep an eye out. I said any other position though, I think it's free game. Like I said, big man, you gotta take your shots. Like I said, we've learned that it's a high price to pay to get a big man to come in here, but you never know. And like I said, I've seen like I said, the one big man from what school was it? Do you remember that we contacted
last season?
Warren Washington.
This season, there was like a big man contact that you guys mentioned earlier. I don't know, he didn't say his name, but like I said, so they're throwing feelers out everywhere, and I know the staff is working through this. So like I said, maybe next week might be a little bit more busy with the players coming back from spring break. So yeah, it should be a good time and see what happens in the upcoming days.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Mike, we appreciate you joining again, man. It's been a while. Let's hopefully won't wait too long to get you back on again, man. If we get some news on a portal sighting, we'll have to knock on your door again, man.
I appreciate it. I'll be here.
All right, appreciate it, everybody. Thank you,
Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Thanks, guys. I can't wait to see you guys all manscaped later. It'll be fantastic.
We'll chat you back.
20% off. Yes, sir. See you, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Take care, buddy.
Oh boy, well, still a lot to come down the road when it comes to the portal. I'm excited about it. I know most of you guys are. Everybody wants to know who are the names, who are we targeting, but a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's still pretty early, still very early, and man, the nucleus is there. I mean, I think it's gonna be Bird and Saunders really running the show, man. They're so exciting together, as we pointed out. Of course, you got Mr. Farrell Compton coming in. That's exciting. And I mean, the guys returning along with Reese Waters, man. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see if they can pick back up, especially Reese. You know, I mean, he started off so hot this year, and somewhere along the lines, you know, I don't know if it was the injury. We've talked about it a little bit, but hopefully we can get him back in the flow and get this offense going a little better than just, you know, what we saw this year. We'll see though. I mean, it's a lot of questions, man. I mean, all these staff change ups, if that's the real deal, it's gonna be very interesting offseason.
Yeah, definitely. And the portal is open until, I believe, something like early May. So we got about a month now. And what you can still recruit players out of the portal. It's just they have to jump into the portal before the deadline, which is in May. So there'll be some interaction, you know, some transactions happening after the portal closes. But we've got about a month from now. We'll see how it all plays out. We really need to find out what the plans are for these guys who are undecided on our team. But I have confidence that we're going to put together a good roster for next year that's going to be competitive in the Mountain West. I don't know if we'll be Sweet-16, level again, but definitely towards the top of the Mountain West, and certainly NCAA tournament worthy team.
There would have to be some big strides taken in this offseason for us to get back to a Sweet-16 level next year. That's just the fact. It's just the truth, right? Because none of these guys, the offense ran through so heavy through Ledee. Who can you guarantee on this team can go out there and get a bucket when you need it exactly like that? Who can you count on? I mean, some guys have to take some strides, or just like Jaden last year, right? He was coming off the bench, and we didn't know as fans and spectators, but the coaches knew. So you just got to get that opportunity to go out there and show that what you could do on a bigger workload. Let's see. Silver Joker, we kind of talked about it already. A true big man. They're very expensive. A true center with height, with our physical play style, seems like a crucial piece to the puzzle. They are not cheap. There are not many of them. So we got 3 7-footers. None of them are exactly rim protectors. We kind of already addressed this earlier in the episode. Let's see. We'll get to Ledee in the NBA in just a second. Let's see. We need a better roster next year. Hello. Who are we drafting? I don't think we draft anybody. We're college ball, guys. We're not drafting anybody, but who are we signing? We'll see. Let's see. Guys, give us your predictions on how Ledee will perform in the NBA. I mean, if you're asking us to predict how he will perform in the NBA, I'm not a scout. Absolutely not a scout, guys. I don't think either of you guys are or coaches in the NBA. He is going to get a shot at the NBA, and I think he's going to make the most out of his shot for sure. He could do everything. He could score in all 3 points on the court, in the paint. He's got a mid-range, and if he improves that 3-point shot, I think Ledee's got a bright future in the league. What do you think, Fiend? This is all speculation on our part. This is all just our opinions. How's he going to perform in the NBA? What do you think, Fiend? What do you think?
Well, I'm not sure he's going to get drafted. But he could certainly make a roster out of camp like Nathan Mensah did last year. He's very versatile. I mean, you got a guy who's 6'9", can bang it inside, physical, then you can step out, hit threes, and then dribble like a guard, hit mid-range shots. So he's got a lot of skills that really translate to the NBA game. I could see him having a pretty decent NBA career if it's the right opportunity. Even if he starts initially as like a maybe a two-way player, gets one of those two-way contracts, but eventually improves his skills to the point where he's a rotational player in the NBA. I'm not sure he would be a star in the NBA, but I think definitely a rotational player.
Mike, any thoughts on Mr. Ledee? All-American Ledee. You don't think he would get drafted, man? All-American Ledee?
He's not on
I don't-
draft boards.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like maybe he will. Maybe maybe second round, maybe. But I think all you need is a shot, like Malachi got, and Jaden or Jalen McDaniels. But yeah, I mean, what he's going to get an opportunity. What he does with it is we've seen what he could do in one off season, and how he wants to get better and better, and he's got the body type for it in the game. So why not? I think it'd be great, man. All-American, another All-American in the NBA.
Yeah. That'd be fresh if he got drafted. That'd be fresh. I think he's going to make the most out of it. I think Eden Art Garden. Oh, boy. I think Butler is better off staying due to all his local NIL deals. The question is, how much is SDSU willing to pay him? SDSU is not willing to pay anybody because they can't. It's up to NIL companies, people like you and I, of course, alumni, all of us pitch in and donate towards the Mesa Foundation. If you guys are eager to keep certain players or go out and get the best players, once again, just going to encourage you to sign up, be a Mesa Foundation member. It is it's different than your season tickets. It's different than your purchases of merch and all that good stuff. It's a totally different NIL ball game. So that's one way. Butler, I don't know. It's an interesting situation for him. He's got that extra year if he wants it. He could test the waters professionally. There's a lot of it's a great problem to have, if you would call it that, but you just never know what is going on with a young person, if he's ready to move forward in his life, if he's ready to take the next step in his journey. Every decision is not based on money. And this past offseason after the shot, they were the Butler family was very adamant in it, and they don't make their decisions based on money. It's not about that. So as far as the NIL deals, local deals, how much is SDSU willing to pay him? It really comes down to the individual and the path that he wants to take in his life, right? And like we said at the beginning of the show, he's done enough for San Diego State. So whatever that decision is, we all love to see him. We would all love to see him another year, man. I know that. That's for sure. But absolutely respect any decision, any decision. Does Parrish have another year? Yes, he does have another year of eligibility. And that was one we addressed. Not sure if he's not. That's another situation where it's like, okay, well, what does he want to do in that final year of eligibility? Does he want to stay here in San Diego, which is not home for him? Totally different coast. Not sure how you guys feel about that. I think it would serve him well to return, but I'm not sure. Not sure what other prospects he has on the horizon. But he does have that option.
I really have no crystal ball. I mean, he did say when we interviewed him that the Little Caesars pizza in Detroit's better than the Little Caesars pizza out here. So maybe he's missing. That's what he's really missing the most. And maybe he transfers back somewhere in the Midwest. But he didn't have a particularly good second half to the season shooting wise. Maybe that encourages him to come back to have like a redemption tour next year. But I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what he's gonna do.
All right. Well, guys, I know all of our Aztecs for life. We appreciate their time here on the Mesa. We've already gone through who's on the roster. So if you guys want to make sure you guys watch the whole episode when we were done with the live stream, you can catch up and see who is coming in, who the Aztecs are bringing in, who players are definitely leaving. You could check it out on the replay. But man, we're concluding another season. We appreciate and love every single Aztec for life that has worn the red and black. Fiend, I know there was a kind of a scary situation with one of our Aztecs for life overseas, one that we interviewed about a year and a half ago or so, man. Was there something you wanted to share about Mr. Matt Mitchell?
Yeah, everyone, keep Matt Mitchell in your thoughts and prayers. He had a pretty nasty fall in a game. It was a Euro Cup semifinal game against JL Borg. They're a French team. He plays for Besiktas in Istanbul. And basically what happened was the player from JL Borg was driving the lane. He jumped straight up, and the JL Borg player looked like he was going to commit to going up, and Mitchell was going to challenge him at the hoop, and he kind of slowed down and passed off and undercut Matt Mitchell, who went like basically shoulder, neck, head first into the floor and thumped, and it was really bad. I mean, they had the training staff out there, 4 or 5 guys, and he was down. It looked like he was unconscious. I was down for a couple of minutes. They finally, regained consciousness. It got him up. He looked very dazed, and they were able to help him off the court. And don't know how he's doing right now. The team has not reported his condition. They said he was in the hospital just as a precaution, but very, very scary. Anytime takes a fall like that, because you have life-threatening, life-changing injuries that could happen from that. So our well wishes, we send to him and hope he makes a full recovery. And Matt, if you're watching this, our thoughts and prayers are with you, and we hope you have a full recovery so you can resume your career.
Absolutely. Prayers from Aztec Nation all the way across the Atlantic. Guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you guys are hitting that like and subscribe button, and make sure you are sharing this episode with all Aztec Nation, all your friends, all your Aztecs fans that you may know out there. We went through an exhaustive list on everything, concluding this Sweet-16 season. Our 200th episode. Thank you, Cody. We appreciate you pointing that out. Prayers for you, Matt Mitchell, from our good friend Janet Dabbert. Thank you so much. Guys, we thank you so much. 200 episodes, football, basketball combined. The E-host. Thank you, E-host, for taking the Spanish translation on YouTube and everywhere people can listen in Espanol. Guys, Aztec Nation is in a good spot. 2 Sweet-16s in a row. Can't wait for the football season to come up. Spring ball is at hand. It's a great time to be an Aztec, guys. Great time.
Absolutely.
We thank you guys for joining. We will see you all, well, hopefully soon. Not sure basketball-wise, the Kiss the Rings, when our next episode will be, guys, but whenever it is, I'll be ready for it.
Fiend will be back in the transfer portal for an episode. Fiend doesn't sleep, so
yeah.
Where are you transferring from? Like where you? Aren't you already here? Like you can't.
An episode on the transfer portal, Mike. Wise guy.
So you're a wordsmith, man. Maybe it's tough to follow. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do again. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll find out, dude.
We'll get some transfer portal signings. We'll be here to update you guys, and we'll be excited and give you guys all the good info. So rude. So rude, guys. So
You know what's
very
rude? You know what's rude coming in like the last 10 minutes of the show and complaining that we're not talking about stuff we talked about 45 minutes ago and then just keep frigging texting and texting. That's rude.
Hey, Sons of Montezuma, baby. This is
Yeah.
what we do. Thank you
Shouldn't hurt
guys
our
for
goals.
joining.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining. Let's go Aztecs. sonsofmontezuma.com. See you guys next time.
Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.